What is up, everybody? You're live with the Prodigy. We're here with another great, somewhat unfortunate report coming out of WWE camp. The news, the scandal, the buzz just continues. And WWE as a company should be somewhat appreciative with the attention they're getting right now, albeit not the best and most advantageous coverage they're getting right now, but they're getting coverage. And it's strange because it has nothing to do with what they call, quote unquote, family global entertainment. This is all about when will the fall of Vince McMahon happen? Or, better question, will the fall of Vince McMahon happen? It's very polarizing, very divisive. It's starting to be tribes created online as a result of this. I'm kind of somewhat in the middle, even though I am in favor of Vince McMahon running the company, not considering all this public stuff that he's dealing with. And if he's guilty, he needs to go to jail for it. However, I'm not a fan of when people automatically assume somebody's guilty without proper evidence. So I will qualify that particular thing. I would ask for everybody to retweet this, add friends. This is a very hot topic conversation that transcends the pro wrestling company, because this is something that's happening right now with the Me Too movement, the what was all this different stuff, speaking out and all this stuff. This has been a very hot button topic globally right now because a lot more people are more sensitive and conscious of the sexual exploits and pretty much taking advantage of these women. Now, I believe in that same vein, that same note, that a lot of people are predatory in how they handle or how they advocate or crusade for the taking down of alleged perpetrator of these sexual acts. R. Kelly, Tory Lanez, Vince McMahon, Ron Jeremy. The scandals keep growing. However, despite all the emotionalism and the anger of women with good merit to their stories, real life stories of things that actually happened to them, what we have to keep in mind is women can lie, people can pick sides, and a lot of people that have been victims, unfortunately victims, can pick sides before all the information comes out. These are things that we need to focus on with the Vince McMahon things. I have my reservations. I'm going to try to be as unbiased as possible and stick to the facts. However, from an opinion standpoint, which a lot of the times I tend not to focus on opinions, I try to focus on facts. You cannot eliminate personal experiences, what people know from being a male themselves, which I'm a male, growing up in a lot of situations and growing up in an era where a lot of men in the era specifically, since I listen to hip hop music, have this stereotype of being misogynistic towards women, which a part of that is true because we know all the stories that come out. Look at Snoop Dogg having the women come out on collars. One thing we have to keep in mind, though, is one thing we always cut from the conversation is how complicit and how compliant are women in these particular situations. I'm going to take 1 second to open up Twitch because I like to make sure I get views on all ends. I'm back on YouTube after a couple of days of being off. I had to get some things straightened out with my channel and analytics and money. I got that. Now we're back on here as usual. But we have to keep in mind that these things have happened. There has been a hyper masculine stereotype with let me switch this to just chatting real quick because for some reason podcast almost barely pops up on Twitch. We have to keep this in mind that it has been these stereotypes in sports entertainment, in male dominated entertainment industries. Look at all the stuff with Harvey Weinstein and Woody Allen and all these people. These things are out there. However, we cannot get caught up in the trap of making people guilty until proven innocent. And I honestly think even some of this stuff, I believe we already know about Vince McMahon and how he's always portrayed himself. He doesn't help that he portrays himself as kind of a dominating pervert on TV. That's just like Ric Flair when he got alleged for trapping a woman. That's an old story that he trapped a woman in the galley on a plane. That will probably fit Ric Flair's character. However, I'm not one of those people that are taking sides with their female friends who probably were assaulted, who probably were, and those people need justice or they need counseling specifically, and the perpetrators need to be in prison if it's true. So let's make that clear. However, we have to be clear-minded and stick to objections and facts when we're talking about this particular situation. And I feel like it's a large slice of the crowd that are the SJWs, the LGBT community, that are automatically believing a woman because that's what their movement is all about. Now, some of these people have good intentions, but some of them are also being worked by these organizations. I'm not going to call no names out because I don't want that type of problem right now. It's not worth it. All the information out there for you to do yourself, do the research. It's a very biased slice of the audience that automatically is going to think a masculine man is automatically wrong because that's what a lot of these big companies, that's the narrative that they're running with. And they know a lot of these younger people are impressionable. They're not going to do thorough research. In some cases, they're lazy. The whole education system is designed to not have much critical thinking skills. Even with your phone, autocorrects everything. You don't have to spell a whole lot. So don't think these people with these agendas and narrative that want to sway the story a certain way don't have that in the back of their mind that, okay, people today are as gullible as ever because information can be automatically just put out there without being fact checked because that's how the internet functions. That's a large part. Now, the internet can be used for good, doing actual checks and data and research. It can be used for that as well. But there's also a slice of people that know how to use the internet for nefarious things or to pull the wool over people's eyes, so to speak. Don't think that it's not people out here that do that or people out here that are capable of doing that. I got to make sure my thing's saved as just chatting because I want people to see this on Twitch. Because some people are like, I ain't see your thing on Twitch. It's because what they saving under. No, it didn't save it. So let me go back and do this. Let me put this under just chatting. Thank y'all for the people that's just coming up in here. We're talking about, and we're going to read the specifics in just a second about this Vince McMahon case. We're going to actually read testimonials and things, not testimonials, but the jury put out there. So Rita Chatterton versus WWF goes back to 1986 when she alleged. Let's slow down for a minute. Rita Chatterton was the first female referee in WWF, at least under Vince McMahon. She alleged in a limo one night after a show that Vince McMahon forced himself on her, I think orally or some type of way. He forced himself on her. Some women were speculating that was right. Vince probably did that before. It wasn't enough evidence at the time when she took him to court in 1992 to come up with an actual case as a result, so it was thrown out. Now, this is where my spidey senses come in. In the midst of all these allegations with Vince McMahon spending the hush money, one of the bigger name people was with Christy Hemme. There was another one, Ashley Mazzaro. They were saying, a lot of people were saying it was all type of Ryback was one of the wrestlers. But you got to take things that Ryback say with a grain of salt because Ryback has a bone to pick with Vince McMahon over intellectual property, over creative, over, unpaid royalties. It's different beefs with Ryback and Vince. So much so that Ryback even said that Vince McMahon was too coward. He actually tweeted this out, which I couldn't believe how insane he was for his brand. This must show you the type of protection that Ryback must really have. He went on a limb and called Vince McMahon basically a coward when Vince McMahon's mother died last year. And for just real brief backstory, Vince McMahon's mother was abused by various stepfathers. Vince McMahon didn't meet his father until he was 12 years old. So his mother was abused by a lot of her boyfriends. And Vince tried to fight him, but Vince was like a teenager. He wasn't going to fight grown alcoholic men at the time. Very few people are up for the task to do that. But that showed you the deep-rooted issues that Ryback. So when Ryback was saying, yeah, Ashley Mazzaro, Vince McMahon was a part of the decline in her mental health, a lot of things could be the cause for mental health. Ashley Mazzaro left WWE in like 2007 or something like that. She didn't take her life until 2000, I think 19 or 20. She was gone for well over 10 years before she decided to do what she did. Who knows what type of trauma and experience she had between that time. That's what I say. These things need to be thoroughly investigated. God rest Ashley Mazzaro. She was a great, she won the Diva Search and all that. She had a following. I'm not trying to speak ill will of her. However, I know how the media operates, and that's why I'm saying these things need to be thoroughly researched. I'm not a person that automatically believes so-called victims. I'm all about facts and information and breaking it down and coming with all of, the final verdict. Before I come up with a final verdict, I need to see all the information. I need to see all parties involved. And then when it's prove without what they call without a reasonable doubt, that's when I'll make my final verdict. I feel like it's way too many people that jump the shark. Anyway, let's get to the meat and potatoes because we gave enough context with Rita Chatterton and Vince McMahon. This goes back. The first allegation she had against him was 1986. They didn't go to court until 1992, which ironically was the same time Vince McMahon was being sued by the Congress, I believe. Not sued, but taken to task for allegedly giving wrestlers steroids and growth and all these, performance enhancing drugs. He beat the federal court, and that's why I put the picture up when he had the neck brace on. This was around the time all these things was happening. So it was a lot going on. It's a very good book, and I might put this in post-production and the link in the chat. Even though I hate promoting people's stuff because they barely promote my stuff, all the promotion mostly comes from me doing my hard work, getting in the trenches. I promote my channel. I'm a very controversial person. I have views. I'm not afraid to say certain things, especially when it's factual or it's for justice. So that turns a lot of people off from me. I'm willing to tell the truth. I don't have an agenda. I'm not bidding over for YouTube, Google, Facebook, none of these big companies in Silicon Valley. I say what's the truth, and it comes from my brain. I don't think for no other person. I don't have an agenda beyond making good, justifiable content and making money. That's my only drive on here. Some people want to be popular. Some people want to kiss the butt so they can get some type of sponsors, and I'm not with all of that. Anybody that know me is I'm a what you see, what you get type person. Now I'm stepping back and lessening the blow on certain things I say because I can go a bit overboard sometimes. However, I will never compromise my integrity or take away from the facts of a good story to make somebody feel good. I'm not going to do that. That's not even just. That's not even fair. But to be fair, I expect the same critique or the same standards against me when somebody feel I did something wrong or feel like I need to be taking the task. I'm willing to take what I'm willing to give. So get into the Rita Chatterton thing. Let's read the official story because a lot of people are going off, rah. The evil Vince McMahon is down because they don't like his creative. They don't like his TV. They don't like past idiosyncrasies they've heard about Vince McMahon. So they pick his sides. This is why I have an issue with. It's very similar to, I'm getting arguments with people about this R. Kelly stuff, which their only thing is I'm a fan. Stop criticizing him. I'm like, dude, this man's a predator and a kidnapper. Like, you can say whatever you want about some of the women made up the story. He didn't do that to all of it, which could be true. However, it is significant evidence that he's done it to a decent amount of people, which is quite sickening. And the things he did to the women is quite sickening. So get off my YouTube, which you can find TJ the Prodigy. Go look yourself under some of the comments. In these videos, that's my most watched video, is nearly 1,000 views. Keep in mind, my channel also is new, so a lot of people that's out there hating, go, you know what yourself. My channel is new. Stop saying, oh, you only got this many subscribers. My analytics are up like 1,200%. Get off my ass. And I'm a relatively young channel that don't get posted properly because I'm controversial and they screw me with the algorithm. I have to put elbow grease to get into the goddamn algorithm. That's what real people, I'm not the only one. It's a lot of the channels and a lot of people from my community I got to do the same. It's a bias from YouTube. If you don't say certain things, you can't even talk about, what's best for your body without them saying, oh, that's misinformation and all this crap. So we know how the real players know how YouTube is biased. So I don't have to keep explaining myself with that. Let's get into this Chatterton thing. And I might get this video. Usually I try to not to get these over 20 or 25 minutes, but this one might go maybe 30, 35 because, it took me a while to get to the cold opening. But it was still useful information, what I was saying. So Rita Chatterton and Vince McMahon. So on April 3rd, 1992, Rita Chatterton, a former referee, noted her stint as Rita Marie in WWF in 1980 for being the first female referee. We already talked about that. She made an appearance on the Geraldo Rivera show, Now It Can Be Told. She claimed that on July 16th, 1986, Vince McMahon tried to force her to perform oral sex on him in a limousine. When she refused, he raped her. Former wrestler Leonardo, I'm going to butcher the hell out of his name, Inzantari, has corroborated Chatterton's allegations. Now, we got to ask about this guy. I've never even heard of him. What did he wrestle under? I never heard of this guy. Yeah, he must was like one of those enhancement local New York dudes or something like that. And then who knows, like, what character did he wrestle on? I guess he was just an enhancement. Yeah, he was a jobber. He could just be coming up with shit just to get paid. That's why I'm saying I'm not saying I don't believe this young lady because this is not too far-fetched off from Vince McMahon's personality, but all I'm saying is we got to get all sides of the story is what I'm saying. We have to make sure we checking all our boxes and dotting our I's and crossing our T's and all that good stuff. That's all I'm saying. And please don't take this out of context. If y'all try to flame me, please watch and listen to what I'm saying before I actually do that. Because I'm sick and tired of y'all taking my stuff down, going off what people say instead of listening to what I said on it. Fast forward. And this was in 1992 when she was on the Geraldo Rivera show. Sam McMahon allegedly raped her in a limousine after the show. Like I said, it could be credible. All I'm asking is for them to do research. Fast forward to February 2006, this situation resurfaced because back then it wasn't enough evidence against Vince to convict him. So it was basically knocked out from under the rug in 1992. Fast forward to 2006, specifically in February, is resurfaced. McMahon was accused of sexual harassment by a worker at a tanning bar in Boca Raton, Florida. Now, this is just all adding to the contextual. Basically, this is a character assessment for Vince McMahon to say, oh, maybe he did it because he did this and that. So we just going over the facts. I'm not saying Vince did or he didn't do it. That's going to be for y'all to decide. I got my opinion, and I'm going to get to it at the end of this. I smell a rat. And it has less to do with Rita Chatterton and more to do with people trying to get Vince McMahon out of the door. Because why did this all of a sudden resurface now? These are the questions we have to ask. Why has this woman been quiet for over 20 years and all of a sudden now she says something? I think it's a nefarious play. I think it's a lot of women women empowerment with possibly his daughter Stephanie. We got to ask ourselves a question. Why did Stephanie McMahon step down right when Vince McMahon came back? Now, she took a break when she took a break in 2022 before Vince stepped down, which makes me suspicious that she was getting this done. And I don't put nothing past Linda. Linda's got her own aspirate. Her and Vince allegedly haven't been in the same bed in 10 years. I mean, they just, I think, still legally married, but they're separated. So who's to say that? I wouldn't be surprised if Stephanie gets a job with her mom in some type of political way or some type of global sport. I will not be surprised if this has been an ace in the hole and Stephanie realized that Vince was going to have control of the company. Because let's be clear. Stephanie, this is some Game of Thrones shit right here. Stephanie and her husband Triple H are probably two of the most undeserving executives and ungrateful on top of that. Vince McMahon gave y'all these jobs. Y'all didn't have the credentials. Nick Khan should have been the sole CEO. Vince Russo should have been the sole creative writer for this show. He gives y'all, you talking about ingratitude from Steph, and you could tell their goal is to take over this company from Vince by any means necessary. And maybe this was a tactic. Now, I don't mean to take this away from Rita Chatterton, but all of this is connected to they were trying to get rid of Vince McMahon. Okay, if Vince did this stuff, why was he? It's similar to the Cosby thing. If he raped all those women, why was he not arrested when it first surfaced? These are the questions we need to ask and stop being so afraid to ask actual questions. These are the things that we need to be talking about. I'm getting so emotional here. I haven't even made sure that my audio is coming through on here. It should be, though. Yeah, we're good. Okay, because I had to make sure I put a lot of time and research to this. I got to make sure my audio is coming through. Like I said, this one might go a little lengthy because we got to break this shit down. Usually I try not to make them go long, but we got some stuff to talk about here. Excuse me. Getting back to the thing with the tanning bed in Boca Raton 2006, Vince was alleged of sexually harassing somebody at a tanning bed in Florida. At first, the charge appeared to be discredited because McMahon was in Miami for the 2006 Royal Rumble. It was soon clarified that the alleged incident was reported to the police on the day of the Royal Rumble, but actually took place the day before. See, y'all got to have y'all shit together. If you're going to be talking about somebody did something, your paperwork has to add up. Why? Because a good judge or a good defense attorney is going to say, why did you wait so long, or why didn't you report it when it happened? Why do you make a police report when it happened? It makes you look uncredible. That's just like if a woman is dating an abusive guy and she come to court and drop the charges. That makes you look better. This guy abusing you, get the protection order you need and all that. Get away from the guy and make sure he goes to jail for whatever he did wrong if it warrants jail time. These are the things that people are afraid to ask questions about, and I'm not. Once again, let's be clear. Don't misunderstand me. I'm not saying this young lady is wrong. I'm simply saying it needs to be thorough research done on situations like that, be it Cosby, R. Kelly, whoever, the white guys, Weinstein and Woody, all these people. Now, I think those guys are proven. I'm just making a point. You need to, if you're going to accuse somebody of something, you have to provide evidence. Something, man, woman, black, white, brown, whatever. You have to have evidence of this stuff. So, after they clarified that this happened at the Royal Rumble, on March 25th, it was reported that no charges will be filed against Vince McMahon as a result of the investigation. Now, what would the women say here? The oppressed women, they would say, "Oh, he got away because he's a wealthy white man," which we know is some truth to that. However, it's also a such thing as lack of evidence or messy evidence, tamper evidence, and that's what this sounds like here. In April of 2022, the WWE board began investigating a $3 million hush money settlement that McMahon paid over an alleged affair with a former employee of the company. The investigation also revealed other non-disclosure agreements related to misconduct claims by other women in the company against McMahon and executive John Laurinaitis, totaling $12 million. McMahon stepped down as the CEO and chairman of WWE, but continued to oversee content development. He later announced his retirement on July 22nd, 2022, which he was advised probably by some people from his side of the board. Because Vince is 81% control of WWE. He has the most voting power, and he owns the most shares to it. Excuse me. In December 2022, it was revealed that both Chatterton and the tanning spa worker had filed sexual abuse lawsuits against McMahon. Now, we have to ask ourselves, who advised these women to do this? We already know with Me Too and the speaking out movement and all this stuff, these women that were assaulted 5, 10, 15 years ago are encouraged to speak out by the current movers of whatever organization. We know they do that. Black Lives Matter does this stuff, or what's the speaking out? I just said speaking out and all that stuff. They say, "Oh, be powerful, be brave." It's usually a campaign and rally that goes along with it. It's usually also a hashtag and a heavy social media following. So we have to ask ourselves, why did Stephanie McMahon step down as soon as her father came back on January the 6th? Which is ironic because the Donald Trump thing was associated with January 6th. Maybe it was a little bit after that. I think he announced that he was coming back January 6th. Why did are these merely a coincidence? Why did Stephanie take a hiatus back in May of 2022, knowing 2 months later that her father would step down? If she's the co-CEO with Nick Khan, I honestly think Vince put her there so she won't uncover more stuff that probably can put him out of business. Once again, I said, this Game of Thrones back and forth between McMahon and Nick Khan and Stephanie and Triple H is crazy. Allegedly, Shane might have released some of this too, because we already know Vince McMahon and his son Shane has not always had the smoothest relationship, and Shane loves his mother, as he should. However, with them always undermining him and Stephanie being a favorite, you don't think Stephanie is a very, very clever and sly businesswoman. She's going to do whatever she has to do to keep a clean image. She's always done that because she's got stuff against her. Not obviously rape allegations, but she's got mistreatment of employees. AJ Lee, CM Punk's wife, has been very vocal about how abusive Stephanie McMahon has been with her power. How condescending that family is, things that they do, the bullying tactics that they have. They know that. So the McMahons not only have internal beef with themselves, they're just a big dysfunctioning business family too. So my suspicions, my spidey senses want me to think a combination. I would say Shane might be the lesser because Shane has always had other things going on outside of WWE. So what reasons would he really have now? Like the minute he found out what a man usually does, what a son usually does, when they find out their dad is doing something to their mom, they usually address it right away. So all these reports about Shane allegedly being upset because WWE brought him back in a 2022 Royal Rumble, which he was in, and he was trying to get him some new ideas, and they basically, shut up, Shane, get up out of here. And as a petty result, he leaked this information. I'm willing to say that Stephanie probably did this because why are her exits so suspicious all of a sudden? Who advised her? And I wouldn't be surprised if Linda is manipulating, because Linda's always been seen as the benevolent McMahon. That's always kind of been her role. I wouldn't be surprised if Linda McMahon being the politician that she is, this is not a slander to her. I just know the political world can be dirty if you're trying to win. Sometimes you just got to get dirty to get clean later. If anybody that really is involved in politics know what I mean by that. Essentially, you have to get down and dirty to get your actual useful and humanitarian objectives off the ground. Because we already know the nice guy and girl always finishes last. You can have good intentions when you go into politics and get corrupted by the bullshit that's in politics. Excuse my language, but it's the truth. Nobody's gonna sit here and tell me, oh, the she's so precious and all that. Linda is a woman and a politician at the end of the day. She know how to play the system too. Who's to say that she didn't tell her daughter Stephanie, who's a shrewd businesswoman, who probably learned it from her mom, step down when he's coming back. Step down is going to ruin anything you do later. Don't be associated with this company. She stepped down to see. Vince didn't fire her, even though she should have been fired for lack of doing her job properly. Stephanie and Triple H has been a detriment to WWE. And I'm going to set my personal differences aside against them because I honestly think they get way more praise than what they deserve. I don't like them personally because they think they're better than what they are and they don't think their shit stinks. However, from an objective standpoint, they haven't done anything for the business of WWE. All these business deals and contracts are a result of Vince McMahon. These are based off pre-existing deals that don't expire for another 2-3 years coming up the road. One of them is expired as early as 2024. That's the whole reason Vince McMahon returned from retirement in 2023, 5 months after he stepped down. This tells you something is fishy going on with this story. Why now? We have to ask this question. Why is this information coming out now? When people with an objective and open mind, please start asking these questions. Why now? You don't think it's some type of ulterior motive to all of this? We have to peel back the layers and ask questions about this stuff. We got to stop just, CNN reported on the ABC Fox or, this person, that column is this column. Ask questions and start thinking for yourself. This is what we need to do as a society. There's way too many people that don't do thorough research that get people jammed up with misinformation. It's people right now. Tory Lanez might be going to jail shielding some women that couldn't control their emotions. Obviously, he couldn't control hers either. But we already know when you messing with two different women, that's going to end in fireworks. Come on, let's be serious. You could probably argue with any type of relationship involving two guys messing with the same one. It'd probably be the same outcome. We have to ask these questions and stop being so docile or quick to, oh, no, it didn't really happen. Come on, man. Why did Stephanie step down 2 separate times within 9 months to a year, surrounded with all this Vince McMahon stuff? You telling me she couldn't have backdoored her dad? Triple H couldn't have helped her? Baby, whatever you want. Come on, let's be serious. We need to ask, why is this woman, Rita Chatterton, all of a sudden back in the news 20 years later, right when these other people got paid out? You don't think somebody was like, yeah, we got him. You might want to go ahead and ask for that money. We got to ask, why is it not a statute of limitations on this type of stuff? Now, I understand the statute of limitation not being, this falls under sexual assault. I think most places there's no statute of limitation on sexual assault. And technically, it shouldn't be. However, it needs to be, once again, proven without a reasonable doubt. People shouldn't be able to get him before he died. It comes off as so petty and predatory. Now, I'm not saying our legal system is perfect. It's far from perfect. Me as a black man know that probably better than anybody. It's far from perfect. However, a smart judge at some point, a good arbiter will be like, well, I mean, why is this coming up now? Like, I understand this is tragic and traumatizing. Why now? I mean, are y'all getting some type of political benefits or some type of campaigning from this? What's really going on here? As Dusty Rhodes would say, what's causing all this mess? Like, it has to be something. All I would say, y'all need to ask questions. And now the official story is they settled out of court. Even People Magazine picked up on this because we already knew the wrestling people was going to cover this. I wanted to see what the mainstream news felt about it because the mainstream media got agendas. Sorry, not mainstream media. The wrestling media has agendas. All of them are anti-Vince McMahon. Every single reporter is the mainstream ones in wrestling are anti-Vince. So I take anything they say with a grain of salt. They even type stuff like, oh, for example, Devon Dudley was released today by WWE. And people were saying, well, this was right on the trails after Vince didn't allow him to go to another company because it explicitly says in your contract you cannot go certain places. The talent read and signed. I'm sure Devon knew that. Devon's going to ride the wave and go off what the SJW say because he know that's popular. However, you agreed in the contract, whether it's fair or not. You signed, just like a job put in there that you could be fired without explanation. It's not fair, but you signed it. You have to know what you're getting yourself into. You can't cry wolf after the fact when you agreed to something. And that's something that a lot of people have bad habits of doing. So they settled out of court for the she originally wanted, Rita Chatterton wanted a $11.58 million from Vince. They settled for millions. They didn't disclose how much. Maybe at some point the amount will be disclosed. As of right now, it's not disclosed. I'm just going to wrap this up by saying this. Athletes get good lawyers. Men with any type of significant money get good lawyers. Because despite all this, Vince McMahon could very much be wrong. I want to reiterate. I'm not saying he's not wrong. He could be wrong. I'm saying you have to prove without a reasonable doubt and ask questions. Why now after all this time? These are the questions you need to ask. And not only that, women do lie. Even women say women lie. This is why this situation needs to be thoroughly researched. Linda McMahon need to be researched. Stephanie need to be researched. Nobody's asked with Stephanie owning, I think, about 5% of WWE, why she stepped down randomly when her father. She was happy when Vince wasn't there. She took an alleged break 2 months before he retired, but she came back shortly after that and continued business as usual with her husband running WWE, Triple H, Paul Levesque. Vince returns. A day or so later, Stephanie announced that she's stepping down permanently from WWE. Ask questions. What is really going on with all this? Did Linda advise her to do that? The other people that support her advise her to do this. They say, Stephanie, you don't want to be associated with your dad. Stephanie had no problem for 20 years working for WWE as head of creative, then being the director of global media marketing. She had some title like that. Why did anybody not question Stephanie not having issues with being an executive for 20 years, the amount of money she made for 20 years, the amount of money her husband made for 20 years, and all of a sudden she steps down and side against her father? Now, if her father's wrong, that's one thing. However, why are you just not saying something about it now? Why are you just distancing yourself from it now? That's why I'm saying this stuff comes off as very predatory. This is not about picking sides. This is about asking logical questions. It's nothing wrong with asking logical questions. Now, people got agendas and I'm scared to be demonetized. I'm going to put the truth out there whether my video get pulled or not, because this is about the truth. People get hurt or their lives get taken away from them. Black, white, brown, handicap, don't matter. Truth is truth with me. Men's lives have been ruined with lies. All I'm going to say is WWE, the courts, everybody involved, do thorough investigation. Now, Vince McMahon, you did settle out of court, so that says something about you. However, Stephanie and everybody involved with Stephanie need to be questioned, just like Vince. Why did she all of a sudden step down? This needs to be Vince should be countersuing for character defamation and shit like that. This is not one of them fake Hulk Hogan character defamation because Vince Russo told him the truth about you whole talents down. This is a real life situation. This is outside of the realms of pro wrestling. This is something that can mess up Vince McMahon's market shares and his personal net worth. I forgot. I think it was a comedian that asked this question, or even one of my correspondents on my show, Jason, and he doesn't care about going public with this, so I'm gonna say it now because I know he would say it. When women make allegations against men that are false, which has happened, Enzo Amore, and I'm sure other people, Jerry Lawler. Even though Jerry Lawler did mess with little girls, but it's been situations. I was trying to think of wrestling where women have lied about men about sexual assault stuff, and women don't have to apologize after that. Men's image is tarnished, even if it was false. Enzo Amore never got hired by WWE again, even though they couldn't prove that woman in Arizona was sexually assaulted by him. He lost his job. No other company want to book him anymore. He was basically dead in the pro wrestling world. You haven't even heard about Enzo Amore damn near since that happened. We have to ask ourselves, why don't women have to apologize when they make up lies about men? Men have to do it. And this is not a man versus woman thing. I'm not saying, oh, yeah, these women, these B words are always wrong. It is about facts and truth. Why don't women ever have to apologize when they're wrong? They don't have to go on speaking tours and, I did this or that. They don't have to do that. Ask yourself these questions. The truth will eventually come out. It will come to the light. And if these people have did this, I would advise that Vince McMahon countersues them. Men have to stop being afraid to put women or sue women for defaming their name. I believe the comedian, what's his name? T.K. Kirkland sued a woman for basically lying about him. Michael Blackston, Sydney Starr, the transition woman, was trying to lie and say he was hitting on her, and he was like, nope, I got screenshots. She started talking to me, asking was I'm interested in transgender sex. He had it right up there. I don't know what the politically correct term is, but you get what I'm saying. Ask questions. TJ the Prodigy on YouTube is TJ Time 1991 on Twitter. King Project Games on Twitch. We need to have a Discord about this. Hit me up on YouTube, TJ the Prodigy, once again, because this is a similar thing. We're going to revisit the R. Kelly thing in a few days because he's going to court. He's getting sentences soon. Protect your brand, protect yourself, and stop taking sides without doing research. Y'all have a good day. Leave a comment. Consider subscribing to the channel. I guarantee you won't be disappointed. We got hours of endless content and things that you can enjoy. So, let me know what you think. Good, bad, and different. I don't block comments online. I'll let people say what they want. We have a good time on YouTube. Once again, TJ the Prodigy, all lowercase letters, TJDA Prodigy on YouTube. I'll talk to y'all soon. Be blessed. Peace. Protect your energy. Later.